Alright, we're starting Unit 5 still. This time we're going to be talking about how to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. So instead of giving you the equation asking you to graph, I'm going to give you information and you're going to have to write the equation. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. It gets its name simply because the number being multiplied by x, the m, that's your slope. And the number being added or subtracted, that's your y-intercept. That's how it gets the name slope-intercept form. First one, I give you a graph and I want you to write the equation in y equals mx plus b form. Now the first thing I need to do is find my slope. If you remember, slope is rise over run. So I'm going to pick a couple nice points. How about here and here? My rise is actually down 3, so it's a negative 3. And my run is 5. So that is my slope, negative 3/5. Now I have to find my y-intercept. My y-intercept. So here's my y-axis. And I can see that this is the point that crosses the y-axis. That's the point 0, 4. Well, the b is just one number. This is the b value right there, 4. So now I can write the equation of my line. Y equals m x plus, and our b was 4. And there's our answer. It's kind of all we'll be doing, but sometimes it won't be quite that simple. Our next problem says write the equation of a line that goes through these 2 points. So instead of giving you the graph, they gave you 2 points on the graph. You could plot them if you like and draw the line, but we're not going to do that. You can if you want, but here is how it needs to be done. We know we're looking for y equals mx plus b, and the first thing we need is our slope. Our m. Our other formula for slope was y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that's these right here. Okay? So we're going to plug them in. And we get negative 11 minus 7 over my x2 minus my x1. Notice here it's 4 minus a negative 4. Negative 18 over 8. Okay, that's a fraction. Fractions are okay, but it's not a simplified fraction. I don't want the decimal, I want the simplified fraction. If I simplify both of these by 2, I get negative 9 over 4. Now I need to find my b value, my y-intercept. Well, I don't see my y-intercept in here. So notice I have 4 letters here, y, m, x, and b. I don't know my b, but I do have some y values. I got 2 of them. I got one here, and I do have an x value. I got one here, and I do know my slope. So I know 3 of the 4, so we're going to plug them in. We're going to use this equation to find the b. We can pick any y value we want. I'm going to pick this one. My slope is negative 9 over 4. What x value goes with my y? Well, this is my y, so negative 4 is my x plus b. I got to clean it up a little bit. Negative 9/4 times negative 4 is 9. And then we subtract 9 on both sides. We get negative 2 equals b. So now I got the second piece to my puzzle. It's y equals, my m is negative 9/4 x plus my b is negative 2. Mathematicians don't usually like to write plus a negative or minus a negative. So we're going to clean that up just a little bit. Plus a negative is the same as a minus 2. So now I know my equation is y equals negative 9/4 x minus 2. This is my slope, and this is my y-intercept. You can easily check your answers if you'd like. All you have to do is pick the other point and plug that number in. 9/4x times 4 minus 2. Type that into your calculator, and you end up getting minus 11. Does that match up here? Yes, it does. So I know my answer is right. This guy, the only difference between him is instead of giving you 2 points, I gave you 5 points. But you only need 2. So we're going to pick 2 of them. Doesn't matter which 2 you pick. Could be the top 2, could be the bottom 2, could be the second and the 5th point. It doesn't really matter. But these are both just points. So I'm going to write them as points. We know slope-intercept form is this. What's the first thing I have to find? The slope. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Get your calculator out here because you'll have to do a little bit of work. But here what you get is 19.2 over 6. That's not an okay number. You do not want to leave it like that. So we're going to actually type it into our calculator. 19.2 divided by 6 is 3.2. It's a little bit better, but slope is a ratio, rise over run, so we're going to convert it to a fraction. And what we're going to get is 16 over 5. All of this is just done on my calculator. Okay, so as long as you have a calculator on you, you'll be able to do this. The next thing is to find the y-intercept. Well, I don't see my y-intercept here. But I do have a bunch of y's, and I do have a slope, and I do have a bunch of x's, so I'm going to plug in numbers to the first 3 and find that guy. So I can pick any y and x I want. I'm going to pick this guy right here, because I can. So my y value is 3.1. My slope is 16/5. My x is 3 plus b. Well, that's 3.1 equals 48 over 5 plus b. You might have gotten 48 over 5. You might have gotten 9.6. It doesn't really matter whether you get the fraction or the decimal here. Then we're going to subtract this number from both sides. 3.1 minus 48/5 is negative 6.5 equals b. You may prefer the fraction. Decimals are okay here because it's our y-intercept, but you may like the fraction. The fraction for that would be negative 13 over 2. Since it's a y-intercept, I'm not too picky on which one you use. And now we have to write our equation. So here's our equation. We want y equals our slope times x plus our b, which was minus 13 over 2. Again, we do not like plus a negative. We'd rather have a minus. So I'm just going to write minus 13 over 2. And then that's our answer. Y equals our slope and our y-intercept. Again, you can check your answer if you'd like. Pick any x you want. I'm going to pick 1. I'm going to plug it in. And when you plug that in, you should get negative 3.3. Does that match right here? Yes, it does. So that means I know my answer is right. It's always nice to know that you're right. The last one. Write it in slope-intercept form. Hopefully this is drilled into our head now. First thing we need to know is our slope. I'm going to pick 2 nice points. Here's a nice point. Here's a nice point. My rise is 1, and my run is 3. So there's my slope. Now I have to find my y-intercept. My y-intercept is right here. but that's somewhere between 4 and 5. You are not allowed to guess. You are not allowed to estimate. You need to get this number exactly. Don't just guess. But we do have a bunch of y values and a bunch of x values and a slope. So we're going to pick any random point we want. It's kind of nice. How about this guy right here? This is the point -1, 4. That's our x and that's our y. Our y value is 4. Our slope is 1/3. Our x value is -1. 1/3 times -1 is -1/3. And then to get rid of a -1/3, I have to add 1/3 to both sides. It's pretty easy to do that. 4 plus 1/3 is just 4 and 1/3. Does 4 and 1/3 make sense? Yeah, that's in between 4 and 5. I prefer improper fractions when you do this. I just think it goes a little bit easier if you have to take things into your calculator later. But this is 13/3. So now I'm ready to write my equation. Y equals m, which is 1/3, x plus 13/3. You can check your answer if you'd like by picking another point, but there is no need to. Just as before, that's our answer. If I had to make you a recap, a summary, what was the first thing we did every single time? First thing we did was we found the slope. So find the slope. Then, that was step 1. Step 2 was plug in a y, an x, and an m, and solve for b. After we solved for b, we wrote our equation. Don't forget to go back and write equation. And then if you really, really care, you can check your answer. All right, that's it for today.